It's a new season for another Bridgerton love story, but this time the story will take your breath away because Colin and Penelope are not coming to play. Every year since the first season of Bridgerton, fans have enjoyed different love stories from two of the Bridgerton siblings, and this third time will be the charm. The love between Penelope and Colin will set up this difference, as they've been noticed for too long since the series started. Earlier in 2022, the show's executive producer, Shonda Rhimes, mentioned that the next season would not be following the arrangements of the books, but she also assured that every Bridgerton would get their story told. The new showrunner, Jess Brownell, also hinted at why they would be mixing up the books when she said, "I feel like it's Colin and Penelope's time because we've been watching both of these actors on our screen since season 1. We've already invested in them a little bit. We know who they are as people." And Jess is right, because Penelope and Colin are unlike the rest that start their love story with each season. Their love story has been gaining some attention in the background, with Penelope doing most of the crushing and Colin not noticing her. Also in the show's latest season, fans saw Penelope break down completely after she overheard Colin talking to his friends that he could never see her romantically. And so things are about to switch up as they get through all these. And the exciting news is the production for Bridgerton 3 is ongoing, and the first look is one of the best that fans of the show would ever see. The first look, released from the filming location, opened up with Nicola Coughlan, who plays Penelope, saying the filming has started officially, and then asking Luke Newton, who plays Colin, if he was coming along, to which he replied, "Let's go." And these two have never looked cuter together. Imagine how their love story will change narratives and be an even bigger societal talk. The show's first season followed Julia Quinn's book titled The Duke and I, while the second season followed the next book in the series called The Viscount Who Loved Me. But because the show's producers have now seen that Colin's love story is ripe enough for the screen, they are skipping the next book in the series, which is about Benedict Bridgerton, called An Officer from a Gentleman. So Bridgerton 3 will be based on the fourth book, Romancing Mr. Bridgerton, and fans can't wait to see how Penelope makes that happen. In the past 2 seasons, Penelope has evolved and grown bolder, especially in hinting at Colin on how she sees him more than a friend. Many things Penelope tried making a secret are almost out in the open, with her best friend Eloise now on bad terms with her, and season 3 will see how she cruises through that. So following the fourth book of the series, fans can tell how Bridgerton would take the Pollyns romance, even though there might be some big chances to make it look even better on what's on the papers. Pollyns' sweet love story will begin with what the fans have already known, but then it will go deeper to show the first time Penelope met Colin and why she hasn't been able to stop crushing ever since. Bridgerton 3 will take viewers back to when Penelope was still a teenager and was walking with her mother and sisters like they usually do when they stopped to greet Lady Bridgerton, who was also walking with her children. And this scene would be where the magic happens, as a surprising wind goes for Penelope's bonnet and directs it right into Colin's face, who would be unprepared and unbalanced till he falls off his horse. His fall scares Penelope and she feels extremely bad, but a closer look at Colin shows that he is having one of the most fun moments of his life, and Penelope can't help but fall for the young man. However, this flashback will also focus on Penelope's years of loving Colin and how Colin never saw her beyond being a friend. Also, many years of Penelope being forced to endure the tons of gossip due to the unappealing looks that she carries around in her unattractive gowns would be focused on until the big change starts finding its way into the heart of the viewers. But this big change isn't what will happen overnight. There will be many background issues to be dealt with first, and Colin won't just wake up one morning and start loving Penelope. So yeah, it will take about 10 years before these two get it right, which means Bridgerton 3 might not be able to do without a time jump into the future, judging by how things left off in season 2. 10 years from season 2, Penelope finds that she's now 28, and like most Featheringtons, has found it difficult to get a suitable match. And Colin soon becomes 33 and has managed to escape every form of matchmaking by traveling and exploring the world. When Colin gets home, he meets his friend Penelope and they start vibing again like time never passed. But just like in the early days, Colin and Penelope get into an argument again, which soon ends after Penelope comes across Colin's travel journals and she falls in love with how well he writes, because she's such a good writer herself. So this gets them even closer as Penelope praises how Colin writes, and Colin replies by mentioning how he's exhausted from being known as just good looking without any regard for his bright side. And that's the beginning of the chemistry between them that Colin never recognized was there. For the first time, Colin feels the urge to kiss Penelope. And Penelope, who's almost lost for hope in possible romance between them, replies by saying she is lonely and it would be awful not to know what a kiss feels like before her demise. And that's when Colin goes for it and gets their first kiss. And that will be the beginning of many more. But But with love like this, nothing ever comes straight. Penelope's secrets as Lady Whistledown will always haunt her, and she can no longer hide, especially if Colin ever becomes a reality. But Colin has always had suspicions about who Lady Whistledown is, and is no other than his sister Eloise. And being a good friend, Eloise never feels the need to reveal the true identity of Penelope. So that's left for the rest of the people to keep guessing in season 3. Penelope will also not stop causing a disturbance with her writings, as she had promised Eloise. But while Colin still suspects Eloise to be Lady Whistledown, he sees Penelope going into the city alone. So according to the book, Colin follows Penelope gently until he sees her enter a church to drop an envelope, and that's when Colin realizes what Penelope has been keeping away from him and the rest of society. And of course, at the beginning of what's looking promising after they share their first kiss, Colin becomes angry with Penelope for endangering herself by being who everyone in society aims to catch. But this is where it gets really interesting, and somewhat saucy to what every Bridgerton fan always looks forward to. Colin and Penelope get into a heated argument on the carriage back home, and gets them both tense with their hearts racing. And these elevated emotions soon get them both touching themselves as they make out. But it doesn't end there. Colin takes their actions seriously and decides to ask for Penelope's hand in marriage. After some agreements and disagreements, Colin became a thing as they became engaged. This romance sounds just as fun as what could get to be included in the next season, but some viewers are assuming Bridgerton could go extra dramatic to make it more suspenseful. And what better way than for Colin to fall deeper than Penelope ever did? If Bridgerton decided to make things tougher in the show, Penelope might have difficulty accepting Colin despite being the only one that she's always loved. She could find it hard to easily accept him after they've been separated for so long, and who knows, Colin discovering that Penelope is Lady Whistledown could be another big issue that could set them apart before they finally become a couple. But since romancing Mr. Bridgerton is the likely way Colin's relationship would follow, it's important to see it through to the end. Engagement isn't the final stop for Colin as season 3 will progress. It will be the start of many doubts that will start rushing in. They both aren't sure of their emotional needs, and Colin swallows his pride to seek help from his sister Daphne, who is very experienced in love matters. But something happens during their engagement ball. Initially, when the hunt for Lady Whistledown was still heated, Cressida Cowper already took the glory by admitting she's Lady Whistledown. So Penelope doesn't want to keep quiet while someone else is taking credit for her work, and she releases another Lady Whistledown column to discredit Cressida's claims, which arrives at their engagement ball. Colin gets angry that Penelope still hasn't given up on being Lady Whistledown, leading to another argument that makes Colin realize he's really in love with Penelope. With this argument comes another hot moment between Colin as they make love. This act leads Colin to ask that they speed up their marriage preparation, but Penelope remains unsettled about why Colin isn't proud of who she is when writing as Lady Whistledown. But this story ends well, with Penelope revealing how she started writing and how she's made so much from it to Colin. And finally, Colin announces to everyone that Penelope is Lady Whistledown, and the support is mind-blowing. And yes, Bridgerton 3 isn't just about Colin's love and intimate moments, but also the coming out of an established writer no one would ever have imagined. But this is where things get scary. Eloise will be more jealous than happy for her friend, which doesn't look good. So there's a lot to look at next season, and you should be ready. What do you think of the Colin story for Bridgerton 3? Share your thoughts in the comments, and thanks for watching.